like to call to order the meeting of the Maplewood Community Design Review Board. Today is Tuesday, May 20th. It is 6 o'clock p.m. My name is Bill Kempe. I'm the chairman. So we will begin with a roll call. And I understand we have one member that is attending our meeting remotely. So I'll start. Bill Kempe, present.
Jason Lamers, present.
Tom Hazen, present.
Anand Shankar, present.
Okay, we are all here, or well, we're not all here, but mostly enough people to constitute a quorum. Next item is the approval of the agenda. Any changes from staff or any additions, et cetera?
Chair and board, staff does not have any amendments to the agenda as presented.
Anything from the board?
No changes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve agenda.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. I will call it to a vote. Bill Kempe, yes.
Jason Lamers, yes.
Tom Hazen, yes.
Anand Shankar, yes.
Okay, next is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was April 15th. Any changes, additions, et cetera?
Chair and board, staff does not have any changes or amendments to the minutes as presented.
Anything from the board?
No changes.
I will accept a motion to approve.
I approve the minutes from the April 15th, 2025 CDRB meeting.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll call that to a vote. Bill Kempe, approve.
Jason Lamers, approved.
Tom Hazen, approve.
Yes, approved.
Okay, next item is new business, E1, which is board and commission roles and responsibilities discussion. Staff, would you please lead us off on that?
Yes, Chair and board, the Assistant City Manager Mike Darrow is here tonight. He's visiting all our boards and commissions to facilitate a discussion that's happening on a broader context with the City Council about, again, the roles, responsibilities, as the agenda item states, of our boards, commissions, and making sure that the council has their direction put out there in terms of what they'd like to see from the boards and commissions, and that we're operating in an efficient and effective manner, following through on the policies and rules set by the City Council and the City Code. So with that, just quick preamble, I'll pass it to Assistant City Manager Darrow to lead this discussion.
Awesome, thank you. And first of all, I want to thank you, each of you, for your service. We, on behalf of the council and City Manager Sable, we really appreciate the work that you do. And the service that you provide for not only the council, but for our community as well. So as Michael mentioned, I'm here tonight. We did a presentation to the council in April, really kind of highlighting what our strengths are, how we can be more efficient when it comes to development review, talking a little bit about tenure and term limits and those kinds of things. And before we went any further, I wanted to come by, and so I kind of highlighted that to the council about a month ago. I mentioned to the council that I wanted to hear from each board and commission member to see what was working and ask some questions. So I wanted to start with looking at the first one is any tools that you need as board commission members to be successful in the work that you do. Is there anything that the city could be providing that maybe we're not at this point?
In regards to scope of what we do, yeah. I believe having the agenda in advance, yep. Being able to, just a little bit of a couple weeks of advance is a good notice. So being able to look at the sites and review it, having the chance to talk about it here, I think that that's my only thing I would ask for is more advance notice of the agenda items.
I would agree with that too, that just a little more advance notice on the agenda.
Yeah. The other one that we looked at, and it relates to this group and then the Planning Commission, is efficiencies. A lot of times the projects are going to both board and commissions, so this board and then the Planning Commission too. I wanted to get your understanding. I'll be doing the same presentation at 7 o'clock. So if you want to stick around for that, if you love this presentation, you're welcome to stick around. But what do you feel? Do you feel that there's any greater collaboration with that group or forming one group rather than, this group and the other group? Do you think that's something, or do you look at things from a specific or very detailed eyes that maybe they won't be looking?
I think the purview of this board is, and having been on this 10-plus years now, we've seen sections of Maplewood where we've done a lot of different buildings over the course of multiple approvals.
Yeah.
And I think because Maplewood is, pretty much fully built out, it's a lot of infill. And having some continuity of construction materials, building materials, creating zones that really, enhance the community experience, I think is important. And I can't count how many times, people will come to this board wanting to talk about the planning part, and I feel like if we combined the two, we would end up talking all about the planning, and we may not get the attention that the design potentially needs, and really looking at the materials being used, the parking, the spaces that these sites need.
The public I think the public doesn't always know the distinction between the two boards, so the same people that come to give public input, they give it both times, or sometimes they give it to this one first. And I think that just greater communication, understanding what this board does and why it exists, I think it serves its purpose to Jason's point. I think it's important. I think that probably even a little bit untapped resource, probably. But it does, the Planning Commission discussions of the if is the project worthy or not ends up happening at this meeting quite a bit. That's versus what does the project look like, and how does the project fit into the city?
Okay.
Chair and Commissioner, if I could just interject, just from a perspective of someone who's worked with the two groups, tonight, 2 of the 4 members has served on both groups, right? Bill, you've had Planning Commission experience. Tom, you're doing it right now. Anath, who's joining us remotely, has been with the group for many, many years. And the 2 groups were initially set up to meet every other week. And Anath has more experience with this than myself. In the late 80s to the early 2000s, was really like the bulk of heavy development. And that's the workload really warranted a meeting every week to get through those agendas. And as mentioned, has turned into a different type of work in that redevelopment. The groups have now meeting once a month, combine them on the same evening. Whatever direction the council wants to go with this, from a staff perspective, our recommendation is that we're definitely not looking to cut out aspects of what either group does. I think that's an important distinction. Like the city staff and I believe the city council also very much value the design aspect. And so the things that are codified right now for what the CDRB does would be, if there was ever a combined group, would also carry through that. So this group right now has requirements for certain members to be design professionals. I think that could be incorporated into a planning commission formation as well. I'd be interested too from Bill and Tom. I understand what you're saying, Jason, on people wanting to talk land use here, but I think at the Planning Commission, we've had the reverse at times where people want to talk design, and so their cloudiness of who gets to touch on what sometimes can impact an efficient review. So, city staff is here to facilitate whatever groups we're given and what we need to do to facilitate development. We just want to make sure we're doing it in an effective, efficient manner.
I think, when visitors come and to discuss the projects, whoever's chairing the meeting just have to, be cognizant of like what you are doing in this meeting, what we're looking at. And if somebody goes off on a tangent, starts talking about conditional use permits when we're not dealing with it, you just have to, say, we don't deal with that here. We are dealing with the, our job is to deal with the design aspects. We don't advocate for any style or anything, it's just that it's got to be good design, and we also advocate for, the parking, and we advocate for the city's green policy and tree policy.
Michael made a great point. The focus of this isn't to take away the importance of planning or the importance of design. We're going to be talking tomorrow about the importance of parks and natural spaces, and so we'll be furthering those conversations. I think, we're looking at it from multiple lenses, and one of that is efficiency with the folks that are coming into the meetings, so that there's a process that we can, come in and be very pro-business while also being very comprehensive in our ordinances, design approach, strategic planning, comprehensive planning, all of those types of things. What I'm hearing, design should be separated, clearly delineate what the meetings are about. You talked about the agendas and those kinds of things too. One of the things that there was a conversation about, and when I wrote my report, I did a little bit of background on the members, the month, the statutory requirements, responsibilities, and then the tenure. And let's see, the tenure of this group was average is around 2011. Again, I want to be very clear that we are so appreciative of the work. We also know that it's sometimes difficult to find people interested in doing this. And so this conversation is by no means suggesting that we're going to start doing term limits or whatnot. But I wanted to get your sense on, as a community member and somebody that's been a part of that, what do you think the biggest barrier of getting newer people into this type of role? And do you think there should be some type of terms and recruitment and those kinds of things that the city should be looking into?
I think a lot of people don't know we exist. So, there should, and every once in a while, they put something in the city newsletter.
Yep,
But
whenever
not
there's.
very often, and I don't know if it's ever brought up in city council meetings. And maybe if we just get the word out more that we're always looking for people, and we're just always looking for, new people to help with our decision-making.
Yeah, I think that it's and it's a good chunk of this board that have been renewed on term limit after term limit. I mean, we've got a good group of design professionals that understand construction, work in the industry in some form or fashion. It's easy to then not recruit new members because we have carryover from term to term. If you were going to really look at it across all the commissions, you would put out a call for interest, and if 3 or 4 viable candidates came forward, you'd pursue, the identification of do current board members want to step away for a term to allow for additional people to come in. But if you don't have a process to call for interest, I would say the second thing, and then Tommy, it sounds like you got something. There's so many times, even with neighbors and friends and family that live in the city, where they'll express concern over something in our community. And I'm the first one to pull up the website and be like, you know what, there's a board seat open on this commission. If you want to complain about it, why don't you just do something about it and be involved? Because there are openings that come open, and it might not be this one,
Yep.
but there's usually always an opening on one of the commissions. And so I don't think a lot of people know that these commissions have a big influence. My daughters know it because I point to all the buildings that get built and talk about the projects that are getting done, so.
Maybe if we had some alternates, because we do have absences, life goes on. And Tom, you were going to say something?
You kind of hit it. I mean, when I've applied at a couple of these, and one time I applied, there was 20 people applying. Another time it was one other person. So it depends on the timing of when people are available, and there's commitment involved with it. And it's funny, because I came from someone who was complaining about things, and then someone told me, "Why aren't you joining these commissions?" And that's kind of how I came to be. So that's kind of, and I really enjoyed it. So but it. It's like, recruiting for a company. It's the timing and the pool is always never precise. If this commission, had, to your point, dozens of people interested that have great backgrounds, I mean, okay, well, this is a conversation to have. What are we stopping other people from doing it? But if it's just to, make openings that then don't get filled, or then you lose a lot of knowledge and a lot of history too.
Yeah, and
I just
before we
want to
get
make
too
one
far, I just wanted to ask if, Anant, do you have anything to say? You always have very interesting things to add.
No, all your comments are great. I just want to say that the board, as it currently functions, has the people with diverse backgrounds in construction and design. And Bill, you do a lot of things with other governmental boards, so we bring a lot of variety to the board here. The only thing I might add is, I know we've struggled to get women and people of color on the board, and I've always felt that if we have women or people of color, they'll give us a even better representation and different points of view. But even not accounting that, I think we have a good variety of opinions on the board from different backgrounds. So having served on the board for a long time, I've had people, the applicants, come across with me on two boards. I mean, 2 points of view. Of course, some have come and said, "Oh, Maplewood has 2 commissions, planning and design. Why do we need those?" But you might be happy to note that I've received more comments that Maplewood does take a deeper look at the design, and perhaps they don't grudge us in that way, because we look at design in a little bit more depth than other cities do.
Thank you.
So those were the questions that I had. I want to talk to you just about the next steps here. So I hope to complete the visits with all of the boards and commissions within the next 30 days or so, and anticipate a presentation to the council, either the last council meeting in June or the first meeting in July. Based on that conversation, we'll kind of highlight the comments and some of the suggestions that all of the boards have. So I'll be highlighting these to them, and then we'll kind of provide additional feedback. But again, as I started, thank you so much for the work that you do. And obviously, it sounds like there's not a lot of people that say, "Hey, on a Tuesday, I want to spend an hour or so doing this and the review that it takes." And nobody's getting rich off of this either. You're doing it because you care about the issues. So, and there's some legacy in that, whether it's highlighting to your daughters, like, "Hey, look at this design." I do that with my kiddo on parking lot design. So we appreciate that, because it's a legacy builder too in the work that you do. So thank you.
One thing I just want to add, I am really appreciative of the city of Maplewood allowing a person like me to attend this meeting remotely. I mean, I do attend the meetings in person while I am there in Minnesota and in Maplewood, but on occasions like this, when I have to travel out to be with my family, it's great that I'm able to attend remotely. So thank you for that.
Chair and board, any other questions, comments on this item?
I have nothing. No. Okay, then I think we will move on to the next item of new business, design review resolution for the assisted living facility at 2615 Maplewood Drive. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Chair and board. If we could have the overhead, I have a handful of slides to walk through our discussion here on this proposed project. There we go. So this is a site the board is likely familiar with. It's come up a few times in the last number of years as a proposed project. Matt Frisbee, who's here tonight, is proposing a 32-unit assisted living facility at 2615 Maplewood Drive. This is located, it's vacant land just located to the southwest of the Maplewood Drive and County Road C intersection, just under 9 acres in site. To move forward with this current request, needs both a conditional use permit, which is reviewed by the Planning Commission later this evening, and then design review, which is what the board is focusing on currently. So a little background for the site. The comprehensive plan guides it as medium density residential. The zoning for the site is R3, multiple dwelling. Again, the site is currently vacant. Mr. Frisbee here has previously proposed a 72 unit, 3-story building for this site that was originally proposed in 2020 and has come up for renewals a couple times since then, including just last fall. Since then, the applicant has stated is proposing a new direction due to construction costs and market conditions, and that's why, again, the conversion from the market rate apartment building to this assisted living facility. The applicant can speak more to those specifics if there's questions about this new proposal and the change of direction. So again, the R3 multiple dwelling zoning of this site requires a conditional use permit for assisted living uses. So this is a memory care facility that falls within that umbrella. And again, that's why the CUP is required that the Planning Commission will consider later tonight. Some, again, background. This building would be a single-story project designed to have less impact on the site than the previously approved 3-story apartment building, mainly visual impact, obviously. The building itself would have lower stature to those residential neighbors to the north. On the previous apartment proposal, there was a parking lot set to the north of the building. That doesn't occur in this scenario. The plans also prioritize preserving existing trees and minimizing environmental disruption, smaller footprint overall of what's being disturbed between the two projects. So the building is required to be set back 30 feet from the street. That is being achieved. This is the proposed site plan for this 1-story assisted living facility. It's required to be set back 50 feet from the north property line. So again, the apartment building was required to be 100 feet. So this building is technically, closer, but it's lower in stature and there's not a parking lot in between. And then the parking lot that is proposed on the east side of the building is required to be set back 15 feet from Maplewood Drive. That is being achieved. 2 access drives, as you can see on the parking lot, would come off of Maplewood Drive. And the project itself, much like the apartment building as well, is concentrated on the east half of the site. You'll see on the next slide where the wetlands lay out through the site. That really kind of dictates where the building massing would go and where access can be gained. Speaking of those wetlands, you can see the green polygons. The red outline is the parcel itself, and then the green polygons are the managed B wetlands that are located within and near this parcel. Ordinance requires a 50-foot minimum and a 75-foot average wetland buffer. That was achieved in the previous proposals. It does appear that would be achieved with this one as well. Environmental staff is just asking for additional information on buffer averaging before any permits are pulled. And then the majority of the project area is in the shoreline overlay district for Coleman Lake. That limits impervious surface to 30%. This project would have 11% impervious overall, which is a slight reduction from the previous proposal. The building itself, approximately 25 feet in height. The exterior of the building would be primarily this golden teak colored siding panels with iron spot colored brick facades and a pitched roof, shingled roof. Mr. Frisbee does have samples of the proposed building materials for you tonight. Trash enclosure would be constructed of brick and located on the south side of the property, and any mechanical equipment would be situated to the rear or screened on the partially flat roof to minimize visual impact. There's a number of significant trees on the site, but only 24 of the overall 143 are being removed. 38 new trees are being planted. There are no tree replacement requirements due to those ratios, so the tree plan is meeting ordinance requirements. And then the landscaping plan has numerous shrubs and perennials that are proposed to be planted around the building. So in terms of process, notifications were sent to properties within 500 feet of the site, alerting those property owners of this proposed project and inviting them to the public hearing tonight at 7. Similar notices were sent, as you can see, kind of on a every 2-year basis, just as that apartment project was potentially moving along. So the neighborhood definitely knows something is potential for this site, but they were given notice of this latest iteration of the project. Tonight, CDRB Planning Commission are reviewing. They'll make recommendations to the City Council, who will take a look at this, tentatively scheduled for June 9th. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the design review resolution that is found on page 8 of the overall packet on the front of this staff report for the new 32-unit memory care facility at 2615 Maplewood Drive. Staff can stand for any questions. As I mentioned, the applicant is also present for any questions. Thank
Hey,
you.
Mike, are you able to zoom in on the site plan a little bit?
I don't know if we can
Yeah,
highlight
this
it.
one.
What do you, Chair Shankar, what specifically are you looking for?
Just the parking lot and the building.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can work to, Chair and Board, I can work to bring up a different graphic to be able to zoom in on that if Mr. Shankar, if you have a specific question.
No, my concern was there's 2 access from the east side, correct?
Correct.
I'm looking at the access to the south. Is there any concern, has the city engineer looked at it, for making that sharp right turn to get into the lot?
Yes, Chair and Finish, Chair and Board. The city engineer reviews all projects that you see and including this project, and has not indicated any concerns with turning movements or radiuses of access points. I can definitely call that out to engineering before it goes to city council to take a closer look.
If you're concerned about, fire truck access, I was out there yesterday, and there's plenty of room to maneuver around there.
Yeah, in addition to engineering, fire also reviews any project that you have seen, and they would look for those type of access concerns or things that they would want to have things looked further refined as on a site plan basis.
Okay,
And staff, all the parking is surface parking then for this design?
Correct, Chair and Board. There is no underground parking for this facility, so the parking is detailed in the plans and in the staff report. There's not a specific standard for assisted living. The city's always used the general guide of 2 per unit. Obviously, that doesn't really make sense in a memory care setting. So for a 32-unit building, the applicant is proposing 28 parking stalls. Within the conditional use permit, there is another clause or a recommended condition of approval if a parking shortage were to develop, that the applicant would have to create additional parking stalls. Compared to this facility and other ones throughout the city, the staff is comfortable with that parking ratio that is being proposed.
what is the gray shaded portion in the site plan? Is that the building?
Yes.
Yeah, Chair and Board, correct. This area is the building.
So is that a north leg of the building that runs east and west?
Yep, Chair and Board, correct. That,
Okay.
Okay, would the applicant like to come forward? And state your name for the record, sign in.
Sure,
I see you brought us some samples, we like that.
I did. We'll take a look at Matt Frisbee with Frisbee Companies and Frisbee Properties. This is probably my 4th time in front of you, actually, with that apartment building that we purchased the land in 2020 and tried to get that to go. Back then, the lumber index was quite high, so we paused. We looked back on that term sheet with the bank, we were at 3.5%. So hindsight 2020, we should have moved ahead quickly then, but things have changed. We primarily do senior living. We do a lot of memory care facilities, but then we also do independent 55-plus living. So we looked at this site and had a new market study run this last fall in the winter, And, you know, the demand is quite high, and it's growing, unfortunately. So we looked at this site and just said, I think we could have a real win-win here and meet the market, make the project a little bit smaller, more appealing to get financed and get under construction. So we're on a great track. We've already got the financing wrapped up, ready to go for this. And, you know, part of this, I don't want to jump the gun and say we're ahead of this, but the one thing though I do want to say is on those renderings, when we sent those in, they went a little dark and there's like a storm cloud over the top and it's like, oh boy, this looked a little ominous. So that wasn't the intent. So I just wanted to reassure you on that. But yeah, this is a 32-unit building, and I think you outlined in your report, talks about our unit sizes, the size of the building, what we typically do. Did have a chance, Joe was just updating Michael here, Michael Martin, on the neighbors. Had a chance to talk with them over the last 30 days. 2 of the 4 neighbors, one neighbor has moved and there's a new neighbor there, and then the other neighbors have had nothing but, you know, great things to say. The 3-story apartment building with a little bit less of a buffer because of our north parking lot compared to this being less of an impact. So we've had a great dialogue with them over the last 4 or 5 years, and we continue to do that. I talked with one of the neighbors yesterday just about, you know, isolating some trees that are in that 50-foot buffer. You know, what's going to come down. There's some dead standing stuff in there that he kind of sees, and so we'll flag those and get those removed as part of our construction. But we'll keep going with them and want to be a good neighbors to them. I guess if there's any questions regarding that, well, one question regarding parking, if I could just answer that ahead of time. All the residents that are here will not have cars, so it's not 55-plus independent senior. This is more of an acute care, memory care facility. So it'll be staff, will be some events. Some people think about, you know, holiday parties, different things. This is a little bit different because the assisted living and independent are going to be more social. This is not like that. And so unfortunately, with dementia, Alzheimer's, different things, it's becoming more prevalent. And so we team up with Ebenezer's, our manager, on this, and they've managed multiple of our past projects and continue to manage them. And then also on elderly waiver. So the report came back on the market study, a fairly strong demand on the county assistance elderly waiver program. And so we will have a percentage of that, and then nobody ever gets kicked out. So if you have the assets to pay privately for a year or 2 or whatever it is, then go on assistance, that's perfectly fine. Nobody gets removed. So just wanted to highlight a few of those items, and then definitely can talk about the materials or what direction you want to go. I'll take your lead.
Anything? I don't know. Let's look at your materials.
So yeah, let's take a look at the materials.
So on the rendering, so what we're going for is a little bit of a deeper iron spot brick with a gray roof, and then what we would do on the front, it's called a Nichiha panel, if you're familiar with it. It's a very dense rain screen panel that has a wood look, but we get some real high quality colors out of that. And then as we come around to what would be the west side of the building, we would go with like an LP siding because it's kind of, even though it's 4-sided architecture, you know, just from an economy standpoint, this is quite a lot more expensive. And so we'd look at that, looking at like a charcoal gray for the fascia and soffits. Window trims would be white. We might introduce a little bit more white in the soffits just to brighten it up. Roof would be a gray. So fairly simple palette. Again, we're not trying to be like Starbucks or Caribou where we need to catch everyone's eye as they drive by. We like to be a little bit more subtle, kind of tie into the trees and the landscape and be more of a quiet facility. So,
Mike, can you put on the north elevation?
Or the west elevation.
Chair and Commissioner.
Or east, I'm sorry, east elevation. There you go.
And
you'll see the gray wall there. That's a large block concrete retaining
Okay.
wall that we'll put in there, and that'll actually be stained. And we can choose a stain on that, but that'll be facing the wetland. You're actually not going to see that. And then anywhere where we're going below grade, our masonry will continue down. So our brick will continue down. You can see we drop down maybe 7 feet in that what would it be, the northwest corner. the masonry drops down, so it's a continuous material on that end.
That second one, what does that face?
The second elevation?
Yep.
That's facing north.
That faces north, so that's where the
homeowner.
neighbors will see that.
Correct. And that's as the masonry slopes down with that grade, we'll continue to step it, and that'll be continuous.
Will
And
there
that's
be
our-
any vegetation planted between
Yes.
that and the
Yep, there's a
neighbors?
drainage swale there, and then there'll be low landscaping, some trees will be planted, and then a 6-foot fence. That's left over from when we did the apartment building. I asked again the neighbors, would you still like a privacy fence? And they said yes, so we're still showing a 6-foot fence on the property line.
Okay.
Are there any mechanical units on that roof of the north elevation?
Great question. So we have, the common space mechanical units are within the building, and we'll have some condensing units sitting on grade in a couple locations. And then we do have a flat roof. Really hard to tell in these elevations, but it's tucked into the roof. It's actually kind of a hole in there with a parapet around it. And that'll be our makeup air for the commercial kitchen that's in the middle.
Well, to me, it looks pretty good. Does anyone else have any other comments or questions?
I don't.
Well, then I will make a motion to approve the design review resolution to construct a 32-unit memory care facility at 2615 Maplewood Drive with no amendments.
I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Hearing no discussion, we'll take that to a vote. Bill Kempe says aye.
Jason Lamers, aye.
Tom Oven, aye.
Anand Shankar, aye.
Okay. It looks like it is approved, and so now it
Thank
goes
you.
on to Planning Commission and then City Council. So thank you very much for coming.
We'll say, living in this neighborhood, I think every neighbor is hopeful that this is the design that gets built. Okay? A lot, I think, the encouragement to break ground this year if you're gonna build, it. This is a good facility for this site.
Okay. All right, we will move on to unfinished business. Anybody have anything that's unfinished? No. Board presentations, anything here? No. Staff, anything?
Chair and board, staff has nothing further for you tonight.
And we have no visitors. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. No discussion. Bill Kempe says yes.
Jason Lamers. Yes.
Tom Oven, yes.
Yes.
And Anant says yes. It's unanimous. Usually goes that way. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And that is the end of our meeting.
Thank you.